Is it a Suzuki Samurai?
It's a Suzuki.
But I thought maybe it would be a Samurai because your wife owned one.
She did not own a Samurai.
Oh, she had the Sidekick. Is it a Suzuki Sidekick? Ooh, was that 9 questions?
That was 9. Less than 10.
I'm pretty good at this.
You're really good at this. I'm impressed. Welcome, everyone, to the Bose Bros podcast. I'm Mason.
I'm Jordan.
And that is all there will be today.
It's all you're going to get.
It's just the two of us today. All right, so I guess we could jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to wait for Kira to make any remarks or Logan to make any remarks.
Are you starting with your new segment?
Yeah, we're going to kick things off with a discussion segment. So to begin, we'll talk about this week in auto news. The big news for those in the off-roading community is the new Toyota 4Runner was recently revealed. And it was revealed even more recently by Forbes, who had a bit of an oopsie. So there is an embargo. There, especially for big product releases and reveals, there's an embargo that reviewers and editors need to adhere to. And in exchange, Toyota will supply them with press photos, videos, the specs. They give them all that information early. I have a separate YouTube channel, Tech Fox, where I do tech reviews, and I'll get sent things early before the release, so I have time to review them, articulate an article or a reveal of some sort, and then they say you're okay to post it at X date.
And this benefits the manufacturer because then the wave, the total wave of information hitting the social media market is higher. If they can get it out to more people that are ready to go at the same time, it creates this big blast of information all at once.
Yep. And then, as a reviewer or an outlet, you are sometimes legally bound to adhere to those, and sometimes it's just an agreement because you don't want to have an unfair advantage over another outlet that's going to be posting. They have access to all the same photos and videos. They've had them for probably weeks. And as a professional courtesy, you don't reveal that before the specified time. Again, a lot of times for big things like this, it's probably a legal thing. You're not allowed to reveal it before they say. So anyway, Forbes is one of the outlets that had access to all of this stuff early. They had an article ready to go. They had photos, videos ready to go for the reveal that was set to happen at 7 p.m. So they had their press release and their article and everything ready to go at 7:15 a.m. So first thing in the morning, the morning before, 12 hours before it's set to be revealed, all of a sudden, Forbes releases everything. All the photos, all the videos, all the specs. Nothing is a secret. And if it's on the internet for a second, it's there forever. Because instantly people are taking screenshots, they're reposting it on Reddit. And even though Forbes is beholden to an embargo and they take it down immediately, people who screenshotted that are not beholden to the same embargo. They are reporting on a story that Forbes released this information early, and they have no such embargo.
There's no reason they can't just repeat it all, get all the traffic that everyone with an embargo now can't get, because the people that were not in the know are now the ones telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
And they're getting the traffic, they're getting the ad revenue. It's a whole big hassle, especially for people that aren't Forbes, because Forbes got this big spike at first, right? I'm sure.
They did immediately, but then took it down, and rightfully so. I imagine a lot of emails and phone calls being exchanged because at that point it's out there. You know, it's on Reddit, it's on other outlets that don't have an embargo.
There's a way to do this too that OnePlus has tried in the past, where what they've done is they'll say like, this reviewer can talk about this specification.
So it was a bit of a fiasco. It was 12 hours is a really long time. When you're talking about the release of a very highly anticipated vehicle. I think we discussed this last week. It's like the 5th most popular vehicle in the U.S.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a big deal. But we don't have to talk too much about that. I just thought it was funny. Forbes kind of
dropped the ball.
Drop the ball there.
Somebody put it in the reminder calendar and didn't change AM to PM. That's what happened.
Exactly.
And then it got copied and copied and copied, and then everybody knew it's definitely AM. I don't know why they're hosting their evening dinner party in the morning, but it's definitely AM.
Yeah. So the new 4Runner, we're showing it on screen right here. I think it looks great. From the front, it looks a lot like the
Tacoma.
Tacoma.
It's exactly the same as a Tacoma. It's a Tacoma without a bed, which is the best way to describe a 4Runner, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it borrows actually a lot from the Tacoma, from the trims to some of the off-road features. Interior, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, it looks great. My problem is just how expensive they are now. They haven't released the price on this, but I would be shocked if it started under $50,000. Especially for a trim you'd actually want. And
if you're gonna get one that looks like the pictures we're showing, one of the high-end trims,
it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Very
so they've got so many of these cars that, like, they've got the Grand Highlander, they've got this, they've got the Sequoia, they've got these
the Land Cruiser, the Tundra, the Sequoia. Those all use the TNGA F global truck platform. They're all on the same platform.
Well, there you go. It seems like a really saturated part of the market, but they managed to just keep selling them.
A million of them.
They're the only company, one of the only companies right now not struggling to sell cars.
Yeah.
Most companies are down a huge amount, like revenue-wise. Even CarMax itself. CarMax is down 20. Their Q3 report for last year, they were down 20%, 27% in revenue.
So the specs of the new 4Runner, they used to come with a V8. Now it used to come with a V6. The only two engine options, as far as I can tell, is the iForce turbocharged 2.4-liter four-cylinder. It's good for 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. I mean, that's a healthy number. Mm-hmm. You can get in and out of trouble with that. Then there's the iForce Max, which I think is the engine most people are actually going to want. It's a hybrid powertrain, so same turbocharged four-cylinder, but it's good for 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque, which is a very torquey setup.
The reason they do the turbocharging is so that they can run the car in a certain setup for EPA testing so that the turbocharger is not even working. And they're using as little power as possible to go as far as they can to get the best EPA rating and try to keep out of trouble with the EPA. And anytime you go near the throttle with any amount of urgency,
then
the turbos kick in, and then you're actually using more fuel than you would have been had you been using a V6 in the first place. So the four-cylinder having these high numbers, great, fine. I don't really care. It's not a car I'm going to buy. So the engine in it doesn't bother me. It's just kind of dumb that they actually have to put in the higher numbers, because no one's going to say, oh, they went down to a four-cylinder and it has less power. But if you go, oh, it went down to a four-cylinder, but it has more power now.
And it's more efficient.
But it's actually not more efficient.
Depending on how you drive it.
If
you drive it like it's being tested for the EPA, then yes.
Then you will get the EPA numbers. If you drive it like any kind of normal person, you're not going to get those numbers. Yeah.
It's got a lot of cool features, as we said, some of them trickling down from the Tacoma. It's got stabilizer bar disconnect for great articulation. It's got Fox shocks. It's got the Old Man Emu shocks, I think, for the Highlander. Or not the Highlander, the Trail Hunter, which is one of the new trims.
They would have used Trailhawk if it was available. Trailhawk's a cooler name than Trail Hunter.
Yeah, but Trailhawks.
Yeah, it's taken.
There's a high output power inverter. I mean, it's a legitimate, capable vehicle, at least as far as we know. Features, it keeps the power rear window, which I know a lot of people really love.
That would have been the biggest headline, is that they lost it.
Yeah, and now it's actually got a button on the back where you can roll it up and down.
I could have swore they already had that.
Maybe they had it already.
Yeah, they had that on the 4Runner. They didn't have it on the Sequoia, but they had it on the 4Runner.
Now you get an optional snorkel from the factory. You can get a light bar from the factory, depending on the trim.
That's cool.
So they have the TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter, and now the Platinum. And the Platinum is...
It's a different grille.
Different grille, but it's also the more luxury version. It's not one that's like really going to go off-road. Doesn't have the same off-road capabilities, but is very...
You do avoid the gross... I hate the look of the plastic on the outside of the cars. I've never liked the way that looks. So I like the body color, but I don't know. I guess people will go, oh my gosh, it has plastic cladding on the outside. That means it worked. And I know the point is that when you're going through bushes and stuff, your fenders don't get scratched.
It just looks tacky.
Yeah, I just don't like the way it looks. But that's me.
So that's the TRD Pro on the left. that sandstone color, and then the Trailhunter on the right. It's got those amber lights on there. They're optioned differently based on like what you kind of want to use it for. The TRD Pro is kind of more Baja style, and then the Trailhunter is more like
rock crawling,
Wrangler, Bronco kind of setup.
Yeah, the fact that the front, the tires are pretty exposed in the front, and that the bumper doesn't cover all the way in front of the tires, vastly increase the approach and departure angle or approach angle. So that
looks better too.
It looks more off-road centric. It looks more Wrangler-esque by having those tires showing.
And then I believe this one here is the Platinum. Again, that doesn't look as off-roady, but it's more.
The blue one, that's limited.
Oh, this is limited. Okay.
Yeah.
Mom actually, her new Sequoia, brand new for this year.
She got the Platinum. I don't
nice.
I don't get it, but it's not my car, so I don't have to get it.
It's really nice. It's expensive.
Yeah,
but
it's super nice on the inside. You know everything's well built. It's got plenty of space. It's got a lot of ground clearance. It's got the iForce Max in it. Seems like it's going to be a great car.
I tested that engine. I mean, I gave it the beans in it for however much that thing weighs.
It's probably got to be over. It's got to be 5,000 pounds plus. Would be my guess
for sure. But it gets up and goes. So.
But nothing weighs as much as that new Charger, so it's not that it's not that heavy.
No. There's the rear of the 4Runner, that power rear window there, and also they brought back the wraparound rear glass. You see that on the back?
Oh yeah. I didn't notice that. It actually goes up to the top.
It actually curves over the top.
That's like one of the
old school 4Runner had that,
and the old
Isuzu,
and the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
The Discovery, or Land Rover Discovery.
Yeah, so they brought that back, which is a cool little nod to the heritage of the 4Runner.
Yeah.
And then, this is the Trailhunter there. This one's actually optioned with a snorkel. You can see it on the passenger side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get too jazzed about new cars, except when there's something like really. This seems like just not my cup of tea. Cool.
The 4Runner.
Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea.
So what would be your cup of tea?
This new Ram. Not because I'm that interested in a new pickup truck. Mine works fine, whatever. It's because the way they're going about their electrification is how everyone is going to do it. Give it 5 years, especially with the EV dip right now. I'm guessing this is how everyone is going to do it. Let me go over some of the benefits here.
Is this the new electric Ram? Is that what this is?
Yes, and also no.
This isn't the
Ram,
EV Ram.
The Rev is the Ram EV, the Ram Rev. So the Ram EV is the name of it, the Ram Rev. But this one is not that.
It's not this. What is this?
This is the Ramcharger, which is obvious name, right?
Which it's like, oh, that's kind of a corny name, except if you know a little bit about Dodge's history, you'll know that's actually the name of an old Ram truck. It's the Ramcharger.
Right. The Ramcharger was the competitor for the Bronco. You'll definitely have heard of the Bronco or the Blazer. Those two trucks, their competitor, the also ran in that group. It was the Ramcharger. But I liked the look of the Ramcharger the best of all three of those. Anyway, they brought back that nameplate, and you'll be looking at this and think, that looks just a little bit different. But mostly, you look at that, besides the fact that it says Ram all over it, you know that's a Ram. It looks like a Ram truck. Here's the cool part, though. 70 kilowatt hour battery. So just barely bigger than the one in the base Model 3.
Yeah, that's not
going to carry a big truck very far, right? No. But they managed to get
the Hummer has like a
214 or something, yeah.
Like that. So 70 is
not going to get you very far, except that they managed to actually get the efficiency pretty high. That Hummer, as we talked about, gets what, 290 miles or something?
Yeah, a little over 300 miles.
Okay, so roughly 300 miles. For a third the battery range or battery size, this gets half the range. So 70 kilowatt hours is a third the size of the battery in the Hummer, but the range is only cut in half because their efficiency is actually a lot higher.
Okay. And the battery is one of the most expensive.
Heaviest.
One of the heaviest components of an electric vehicle.
And the component that would be the most expensive and difficult to replace if it wears out. So there's a couple of really, really big benefits to doing this the way they're doing it. This truck still has a V6.
So it has a V6
and
a 70 kilowatt hour battery.
And 2 electric motors.
So one in the front, one in the rear.
Right. This thing has...
So does the engine power the front and the
No,
battery
the
front?
engine powers nothing but a generator. The engine just generates electricity.
The engine is a generator.
It is a generator. Okay. It does nothing but generate electricity. Here's the cool part. The wear on an electric battery, that graph looks like this. When you're below 10%, the wear, the reduction in battery life skyrockets. When you're above 90%, the reduction in battery health skyrockets. But if you're in the middle, it's more like this. If you're in the middle, the battery health is not being harmed hardly at all.
So like 50% battery life, basically.
Yeah, if you charge between like 40 to 60 all the time, if you say between 40,
will last a very long time.
It'll last orders of magnitude longer than if you're somebody who charges it
all the way to 100%, all the way down to 0, all the way to 100, all the way to 0.
If you keep it between that 40 and 60 range, your battery's going to last an eternity in comparison.
So it uses the
onboard gas engine to keep it in a healthy range. And then if you need to go further or you are going to run out of gas or whatever, it can charge you all the way up. But what it's doing is it's carrying around your energy in the form of gasoline rather than in the form of empty battery cells. You are still carrying around all of the weight of those batteries. They don't weigh any less once you've discharged them. Yeah. But if you're carrying around fuel, what is a full tank of gas? Like 50 pounds?
Well, and the amount of energy potential in that much. That's why, side tangent, trying to make a electric powered plane is such a bigger hurdle than a car, is because the batteries weigh so much to get the same amount of energy out of batteries versus gas. And you will lose the weight of the gas as you use it, which is not the case for a battery.
Yeah, which actually
using a smaller battery and then charging it with an engine
and keeping it in a prime range. And then when it eventually, one eternity later, actually does need to be replaced, it's going to be way cheaper, a third the price or less than what the Hummer battery would be, right?
Well, to be fair, this car probably costs a third with the Hummer.
Probably.
Maybe half.
But this thing does 4.4 seconds to 60. 663 horsepower.
Is that as fast as like an SRT10?
No, it's faster.
Wow.
The
it's
SRT10
not as fast as the TRX.
No, I don't think it's as fast as the TRX.
But still, that's fast for a full-size truck.
663 horsepower. Do you want to just throw out a guess at how many miles you can go? If you start with a full charge and a full tank, how far do you go before you have to stop and fill up with gas?
You said it goes half as far as the Hummer.
On electricity, it goes 145 miles.
Not using the engine
without using any of the gas. Oh. It goes 145 miles not using a lick of gas.
So you use a full tank. I don't know what a full tank would be.
27 gallons.
Okay. I mean, you can get pretty far in 27 gallons. I'd say, 350, 400 miles?
But between the electricity and the gas?
Yeah, 400 miles?
700 miles.
Ooh.
690 miles, 700 if you're careful.
Wow.
For one tank of gas.
And so it basically is getting all of the benefits of electricity.
And no range anxiety.
Because it's like, I'm out of juice. I can just go on gas. Well, it will use it to charge it up. You can just put gas in it. And
this is why this is better, though. The reason it is better to do it this way than a regular plug-in hybrid, because this is not a regular plug-in hybrid. You can plug it in. But the reason this is better than a regular plug-in hybrid is because the ICE engine does not drive the wheels. If you're driving, say, a Chevy Volt, and you run out of charge, you are now driving a Prius with more weight, with less power. It is anemic. It is so slow when you run out of juice. Because all you're relying on is the electric motor or the gas motor to both move the car and occasionally try to charge up the batteries. And then you lose efficiency. The only purpose of the gas engine, which is the Pentastar V6 that they've used forever and is a known reliable engine.
This isn't the new...
it's not an untested...
The 6-pack, the high output Hurricane engine. This is the Pentastar V6 they put in every Chrysler product, every base Chrysler product.
It's had revision after revision after revision.
2012, right?
And because it's using the electric motors, the effective MPG is 29. 700 plus miles, potentially.
All the benefits of gas, all the benefits of electric. Now, I imagine...
Except even more benefits, because if you're using an electric car, you're not just using 40 to 60%.
Right.
Because all the time you're going up to 80 and down to 20 and up to 80 and down to 20.
I wonder, so this has got to cost more than just the gas-powered truck.
It must.
But might cost less.
Oh, it's going to cost significantly less. Do you know why it's going to cost significantly less than the Ram Rev?
Because it doesn't need as many batteries.
Because the Ram Rev's base model has a 175 kilowatt hour battery.
That's big.
That is this truck plus a Model S Plaid. And then if you can even option up to a 273 kilowatt hour battery.
That's even bigger than that.
That's the biggest one of any kind. They're trying to hit 600 miles on just electric. I don't think they're going to get it.
I mean, if you want to tow with an electric truck, that's the kind of battery capacity you would need.
Yeah, like what the new Silverado has.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been more wrong on my hot take on that Silverado. It actually looks really cool. But anyway, this thing has a 14,000 pound towing capacity. The regular Ram with a 5.7 Hemi,
11 or 12?
11,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's only for the newest one. If just 1 or 2 years ago, it was only 7,700. So over 2 years ago, they're doubling the towing capacity.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
It has 2,600 pound payload, over 2,300. It has independent rear suspension, no live axle.
So very comfortable ride.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I was saying this thing looks exactly like any other Ram. It's on a totally different platform, brand new platform. How did they manage to make it look exactly the same? Almost exactly the same. It's crazy. Oh, it also offers bidirectional charging.
So you can charge back.
You can charge electric cars on the side of the road with the engine in your car.
Yeah.
It is the perfect option to go as a rescue vehicle.
For electric cars.
For electric cars specifically. Because you could drive 700 flipping miles and have gallons of gas in your bed.
Well, you can drive 700 miles, fill up, and
drive another 700 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also will run your house. Difference between this and the F-150 Lightning that can also run your house. F-150 Lightning will run out of battery in 3 to 5 days is what they say. 10 days if you don't use your air conditioning.
Modest use of your electricity.
You can run your whole house like you normally would. It offers 7.8 kilowatts of power, which is significant. That's healthy. That's a lot. I mean, it's not going to keep your house cold in the middle of summer here. It keeps all of your appliances running, keeps everything normal, and you could just put more gas in it. It doesn't just run out of power like the Lightning is.
So these are both pictures of the Ramcharger. Because this white one looks like just a regular old Ram. You're saying this is a complete...
That white one is the new Tradesman Ramcharger.
This is the base Ramcharger.
That's the base trim, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is the most exciting change in pickup trucks, even more exciting than the Cybertruck.
Wow, that's a hot take.
I think the reason is every plug-in hybrid is going to do it this way. Give it 5 years, give it 6 years, they're all going to do it this way. You get the benefits of the electric drive, you get all of the benefits with none of the drawbacks, and your battery lasts longer.
And it'll be cheaper.
And
better range. Even the best electric truck on the road.
This is absolutely the way to do it.
You know, I even as a Chrysler fan, I've been a bit disappointed in the last couple of years.
There hasn't been a lot to be excited about.
They haven't really brought anything compelling to market, really. This is the first one I'm like, wow, they're actually doing something that other people aren't doing, and it actually is a compelling thing.
It is very cool.
So you're saying this year, Ramcharger, the blue one I'm looking at the side profile, and I'm flipping to the silver truck. These look like the exact same truck.
They are built on totally different platforms. They could not be...
So they may as well be like a Ford in a Ram.
Right.
As far as what they share.
One of them may as well be a spaceship as far as...
Maybe some of the handles and switches and interior components, but as far as like the underpinnings and everything...
Yeah, you can even see, like, look at the silver one.
Okay.
You see those 6-bolt hubs?
Yes.
8-bolt on the blue. Because they're all supposed to be able to tow that much.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and you said the windshield is raked back more.
Yeah, it looks to me, maybe it's not, but it looks like it's very, very slightly raked more on the Ram Rev. And if you go back to the front...
It just looks kind of slipperier.
Yeah, if you go back to the very first picture, that one is, you can tell, it's clearly been sculpted more by wind tunnel than it is by like, we want to make the most masculine truck on the road kind of guy.
Little tweaks to the aerodynamics aren't going to have a huge impact for a gas-powered car like the an electric.
Right. Yeah. So the benefits they're getting from doing a little bit of sculpting, but they're focusing mostly on keeping it looking like a Ram, and then they're sprinkling in some EV stuff.
They learned from the Lightning. Not everyone wants to drive a Cybertruck.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Some people, especially truck people,
want to drive a truck.
Especially people, I use them a lot as an example, but like Dad, you want to blindfold him and just put him into convert him to an electric truck. It needs to look and feel like a truck. Now, there are plenty of benefits to switching to an electric platform, but at least for truck people, at least in the beginning, it's important that it just looks and behaves like a truck.
And even that's the benefit of the tradesman version, because as cool as the taillights are, and I do think they're cool, I prefer the tradesman one. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to have the same benefits. And it doesn't scream, I'm an EV. It just looks like...
It looks like a normal truck.
How many work trucks do you see with dented tailgates?
Oh, yeah.
What? Somewhere between 100% and all of them? Yeah. Okay, well, which one's going to be cheaper to replace? The one that has lights in it? Or the one that's there with a plastic handle, says 4x4? And it's...
honestly, I would just think, that must be the new Ram. I wouldn't even know that's got.
And it's on a completely different platform, and you wouldn't know it. It's completely different. So the frame rails are steel, but they're set further apart, and there's increased crash protection in the frame for the battery and around the gas tank. So they designed this frame around having both a battery and a gas tank. This is the Stella frame platform.
Not Stella large.
No.
Stella frame.
Yeah.
Which is like their utility truck platform.
Exactly. So it's Stella small, medium, large, and then frame. And
that's really cool.
But they put in enough room for an engine and two motors.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I
wonder
if they'll do something like that for the
Charger. I would hope so, but there's not enough room in that engine bay to fit a motor and an engine.
What if it was a Hellcat?
Oh my gosh, I wonder if you could get away with that. Because it's not driving the wheels. I wonder if they could get away with that.
It's going to be an exciting time for conversions and
it's going to be really cool. This has got me so excited. I've been talking about it a lot, and
it's cool. And it's exciting as a Chrysler fan to have something
innovative, talk about. Yeah, and not like, oh, guess what they did? Like they do plenty of notable stuff, but mostly just stuff that you could point and laugh at.
Yeah.
But this is actually...
It is cool.
I would bet this is a $80,000 truck.
I
would bet the
that's
tradesman...
Still a normal... I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Normal price for a truck.
Yeah, it's not Cybertruck. It's not Hummer EV prices.
No, you can't find one of those for less than 100.
Yeah, no. Especially a Cybertruck right now. I'm sure they're trading.
Well, those won't go 700 miles.
No, the Cybertruck will go like 305.
Well, and then how long does it take to fill up with gas? Normal amount of time.
Right. So let's say you run your battery to total zero.
Well, I mean, that's assuming you've used up all of
your battery and all of your gas
150 miles ago.
Right. Yeah. If you completely ran out of gas and couldn't find a gas station for another 150 miles. Yeah.
It is
Is this more compelling now than when I started talking?
I understand it. It offers, at least from a powertrain perspective, something more interesting than even the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is just...
It's another EV.
It's another EV. Now, it does seem like we're belittling the Cybertruck.
There's a lot of really cool engineering that went on it.
I saw one in the wild.
I saw one too. It stands out like it really is like watching a kitchen appliance rolling down the road.
If you think it looks striking in videos and pictures,
in person it's mind blowing.
Next to like a 2008 Camry, just on the road, it looks like a spaceship.
And you know what else is, because it has so much presence, it seems so much bigger than it really is.
It is big.
It's big, but it's smaller than a regular Ram.
Yeah,
it's smaller than an F-150.
Well, that's really cool. I'm excited for it. If I were in the market for a truck, that's the kind of vehicle I would consider. If I wanted the perks of an electric truck.
Absolutely. And the fact that it's 4.4 to 60 and 663 horsepower.
Well, and you can... I saw this yesterday. Yesterday. A Model S in the middle of an intersection, totally out of battery. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine driving along with this and you see a $150,000 Cybertruck And you're like, oh, I still got another 400 miles.
Yeah. You could
My
drive.
car costs half what that thing costs.
Yeah. And can tow more.
Moving right along to our obscure car highlight. So I was in Mexico this last week, and I saw a couple of these out there. They are
lived?
very popular. Yes. This is the Ram 700, which is their really tiny truck, if you can even call it a truck. It's technically it's a subcompact truck or a SUP, sport utility pickup.
Is this bigger or smaller than, say, a Ford Maverick?
It's probably about the same, maybe a little bit smaller.
Smaller than a Maverick.
It's
A Maverick's like the same length as a Golf.
It's like Santa Cruz size. So
basically the same.
Basically the same, yeah.
You know what's funny is the Santa Cruz is more capable than the Maverick.
But it doesn't look
No.
like a truck, so you don't associate it with
Right.
capability.
Exactly.
Which is everything to a truck buyer
buyer.
who doesn't actually bring their truck off road.
Right.
So it's got a 1.3 liter Firefly inline 4 cylinder, made into a 5-speed manual only. It's only offered in a 5-speed manual, which
Wow.
you never see anymore. It's got 100 horsepower, 99 pound-feet of torque, so not a lot to write home about there. They just very recently, I think last year, announced, and it's an option now, a CVT option.
Oh boy.
So real exciting stuff. It's only available in South America, which is why you don't see it here. It's based on the Fiat Strata, which is a very similar vehicle. It's basically just a rebadged Ram 700. They're both based on the same modular pickup platform. But this Ram and the twin, the Fiat version of it, which is the same thing, just with Fiat badges, it is the most popular car of any kind in Brazil.
Really?
The most popular.
It's the F-150 of Brazil.
Yeah.
Is
the
it?
most popular car.
Wow. That's cool.
And it's offered in both a single cab and a...
You have pictures of that single cab? Whoa.
So there it is from the side.
So the single cab gets like an actual bed.
Yeah. So yeah, the crew cab here, calling that a bed is generous.
It's half a trunk.
It's a futon. Less of a bed, more of a futon.
Okay. Yeah, it's a trunk without a lid.
Not much as far as a bed goes, but I think it looks pretty cool. It's like a what was it? The Subaru Baja.
Yeah.
It gives me the same kind of vibes.
And the next one, if you put seats in the bed, I know Logan's not here, but we have to mention the Subaru Brat in every episode.
And we basically have to mention a Brat in every episode, and that's basically what it is. I told Kira, I was like, does this qualify as a Ute? It's a little too high ride height wise.
Yeah,
to be a Ute,
especially in the back.
but it is proportioned.
If you lowered it, it would look like a Ute.
It would.
If you lowered it just a bit, that would be a Ute. It's
I
closer
don't know
than.
if it would sell well here. I mean, I imagine the accountants at Ram and Chrysler already know it won't, and that's why they don't sell it here.
Especially because they have to make engines that'll pass emissions in America.
I have
More
to say,
specifically in California.
though, yeah. I have to say, though, seeing it on the road, I was a little bit jealous. Like, dang,
They get Ram stuff we don't get.
they get things we don't get over here. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's only obscure because we don't live in Brazil.
Exactly. It's not actually obscure, but it's the most popular car in the country.
I also have a popular car I'm calling an obscure car highlight. What is that car, Mason?
Kind of looks like a space shuttle. That's a Reliant Robin.
It is a Reliant Robin. Yes. And did you know that the Reliant Robin weighs less than 1,000 pounds? It actually weighs less than 960 pounds.
I did not know that, but I could believe it.
It is more a motorcycle with a cab on it than it is a car.
If not mistaken, that's intentional.
That's exactly right. Because up until 2001, there was sort of a loophole where if your teenager got a motorcycle permit, they could drive a car if that car was a three-wheeler.
Right.
So Reliant managed to sell...
less than 4 wheels, it was classified basically as a motorcycle.
Right. But this was a 5-seater with... It was a hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tiny. But production spanned 3 generations, which, by the way, I learned this today, replaced another Reliant vehicle, also 3 wheels, that was in production from like the 40s.
Leave it to the free market to fill a regulatory...
Exactly. But production ended the same year that the motorcycle driving permit laws changed.
Okay.
And then there was a problem because in 2001 it changed so that you have to have like a full motorcycle license to drive a 3-wheel vehicle. But the way it was worded, it actually excluded anyone with a full regular driving license. So you had to go get a motorcycle license to drive a car if that car had 3 wheels. So if you went and bought a Reliant Robin, you could get pulled over for for driving without a license.
Even if you had a normal license.
Even if you had a normal driver's license.
It drives more or less like a normal car.
Essentially, it's just a normal car with only 1 wheel in the front.
Yeah.
So in 2012, it took them 11 years to fix this. And in 2012, they finally said, yes, you can drive a 3-wheel vehicle with a regular driving license if you're over 21.
Yeah, not to get too off on a tangent, but that's a problem when you have just layers of bureaucratic like nonsense and rules and laws and regulations and stuff. Like it takes literal decades in this case to get things updated. You
want to guess it had an 850cc engine.
Okay.
You want to guess that's 0.8 of 1 liter. You want to guess the 0 to 60 time?
It's 60?
It could do 85.
Wow.
Yeah, not sure you would want
no
to.
Passengers.
You're basically on like a metal skateboard with a fiberglass body this thick protecting you. So I would not want to be going 85.
I'm scared to hit the freeway with the Cuda, and that has 4 wheels.
Yeah. You want to just hazard a 0 to 60? It's faster than you'd expect.
Honestly, if it can do it at all, it's got to do it in less than 20 seconds.
Less than 20? What's your final number?
16, 17?
14. Because it weighs...
Yeah, it's speedy.
It weighs... Yeah.
That's true. It's 9...
May as well be a Hellcat.
Yeah, basically.
But also, people love to modify these things because they're basically just a rolling chassis. And this picture is very low quality, but I had to find a picture of a Reliant Robin without a body, a vehicle that went out of production in 2001. Forgive me for not having a super great quality image. Yeah. But this is it. It's just a skateboard. Super, super simple frame. Suspension is like less complicated than the go-kart I just built.
Yeah.
And it has this tiny little engine. And you can put any body on top of that, right? It just bolts right on. So people have done... Are you on this next one? People have done all kinds of this rugged Robin. People have done all kinds of stuff to these things. There's a machine gun. It's tracked. It's clearly got the... It's going to blend in. You see that like that ghillie suit material?
Yep. It's camouflage.
Yeah. No one's going to notice this guy.
I don't see a car in this picture. I just see a parking lot.
I just see headlights.
Yeah.
Oh man. And this is actually this is a Gen 1 that we're looking at. You could tell, or it's actually an early Gen 2. The round headlights were Gen 1 and then early Gen 2. And then it changed over to Gen 2 with the square headlights, which you'll see in this next one is a replica of a DMC-12 with a bed.
Because of course.
And look at the look on this guy's face.
He looks very satisfied with it.
I know. Apparently. So I looked into this. I just got this picture because I thought it was interesting. But I read it a little bit. Turns out this guy was building these out of old Reliant Robins up until recently. And he was making them and selling them for 20,000 pounds, British pounds. He could find a Reliant Robin. You could probably find them for a few hundred British pounds. They were not expensive cars to begin with.
Yeah.
The most expensive version that was ever sold was 10,000 pounds. And it was like a special edition, nicest Reliant Robin ever, sold for 10,000 pounds. And he's selling them for double that with the gull wing doors and everything. But because it looks so much like it, and he's using the DMC name, DeLorean Motors sued him to stop. So do you know what that means? DeLorean Motors recognizes this as a form of their product.
I don't know if that's a battle you want to win.
I know, exactly.
And it's not like people were going to buy a DeLorean.
I know, and they veered off
on a Reliant Robin.
I know. But like the fact that he made gull wing doors that actually work.
You're going to make a tough case that they're usurping your customer base.
I know. It's so crazy. And it's not like they're selling this car anymore anyway.
No. It might be a licensing thing, like, hey, you can keep making it, but we want to cut it every year.
And it is a thing where your copyright's only as good as whether or not you will protect it. If you're not willing to fight for it in court, then you lose your copyright.
Yeah. So
it could be something like that. But the fact that they went out of their way to go, you know what? That's definitely a DMC-12.
I mean, that's what lawyers are for.
So if that's not the most obscure rabbit hole, I don't know, you weren't expecting that. So
yeah, that's great.
All right, so we got hot takes.
Hot takes, everyone's favorite segment. So this is an opinion that we have that may or may not be controversial.
Spicy take. Oh, you came up with a hot take, I see.
Oh, I came up with one, all right. And this is one I came to recently, actually.
Okay.
So, on screen right now is a Pontiac Aztek. I think the Pontiac Aztek was ahead of its time.
I saw your interview with the woman at the car show who just loved her Aztek.
If you haven't seen it yet, we went to a car show and we interviewed a bunch of people who brought their cars, and one lady there is the original owner of a yellow Pontiac Aztek, very similar to the one in the picture. Bought it in 2003, had it its entire life, and still had it, and brought it to the car show. It had an air compressor, it had an ice cooler, it has camping equipment, it has a tent that folds out, it has an air mattress that fits perfectly in the cavity behind where all the
She got all of the accoutrement.
Everything. It's all Aztek branded. It's from the factory. And I remember thinking that's such a weird decision to like ship a car with that you can like camp with and like has an air compressor and like it's like a lifestyle vehicle, whatever. Now that's huge. That's a huge thing. I mean, what brand comes to mind that's trying to Rivian. Exactly.
One of, if not, arguably the most cutting edge brand right now.
Right. Definitely one of the most liked and revered newer car brands out there. And they're leaning hard into this outdoorsy lifestyle.
Yeah, their charging network is they were going to build their own charging network, and they were going to build the chargers. They were going to build the chargers at national parks.
That makes sense.
All of their locations were going to be all their charging locations were going to be at like off-roady adventure style destinations.
Yeah. So to be clear, I'm not saying the Pontiac Aztek is, well engineered or it's a beautiful car or
because it's certainly not either of those.
I'm saying the place in the market it was trying to fill just didn't exist yet.
Now every off-roader, every like rugged looking car is selling like gangbusters.
Exactly. I feel like not this exact same car, but a modern interpretation of that.
Say a Rivian R2.
Would do really, really well.
Yeah.
In today's world. So
yeah.
That's all. I think the Aztek was ahead of its time.
I think you're right. I thought you were going to say like, I'm coming around to the way it looks. And I'd be like, thank you, Stevie Wonder, for joining us today.
Okay, so this actually is an unflattering picture because this is one that has a lot of the plastic. And
you're going to tell me that there is a flattering picture of the Aztek?
I'll say, compared to a lot of modern cars, this doesn't look as outlandish as it used to.
It's true.
I'm saying the world around the Aztek has gotten progressively uglier. So by comparison, it doesn't look as bad to me as it used to.
It certainly is on every person's top 5 ugliest cars list. And that will never change.
Yeah, but it's almost like a meme at this point. Like, it's almost so...
It was a meme during the Breaking Bad times. And it's just back to ugly.
I'm not saying it's growing on me aesthetically.
It's growing on you like a wart.
It just doesn't look as bad to me as it used to, just because I look around and a lot of modern cars look equally as outlandish to me.
Yeah.
But,
all right. My hot take time?
Let's hear it.
The Hyundai Ioniq 5N is not stupid. I'm about to list for you a bunch of stuff that sounds really stupid. And I'm going to defend all of them. Okay. So I've got this picture of it in blue, but I actually think it looks even better in black. You got the picture in black? I think that looks really great. When you're looking at this, you're thinking, oh my gosh, that looks like a Volkswagen Golf. I mean, it basically is. Plus like 15%. Mm-hmm. It's actually quite a bit longer than a Golf. The back bumper of a Golf would end about the middle of the axle on the rear wheel. Mm. So it's quite a bit bigger. It's probably a foot longer than a Golf.
So that's stupid?
No.
What's stupid? Or what do people think is stupid that you're saying is not?
It makes fake engine sounds. You push the gas.
So this is fully electric?
This is fully electric. And it makes fake engine sounds. It has fake shifting with paddles that you can shift. It has a tachometer that when you get to the red line, the car will actually go bum, 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 on the red line and won't let you go any faster until you shift. All of these, like, I promise I'm a real car, guys.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, hello, fellow kids. It has all of that, but it is so much better than it seems.
I am so excited to hear you defend this because I think that is probably the dumbest combination of features I've ever heard.
Okay.
And I like the new Charger EV. So
I'm already dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't like this. Yeah. Okay. Here's why. If I came to you and I said, here are our parameters. This is the engine, the motors we have to work with. You have to build an electric car.
As someone from Hyundai,
someone from Hyundai, I come to you and I go, Mason, you have to make an electric car that enthusiasts would actually enjoy being behind the wheel of. And your first thing would be like, well, there's so little interaction in an EV.
That's the biggest hurdle.
If I came to you and I was like, you need to build this car and you need to make it enjoyable for enthusiasts. This is our end division.
An electric car.
And these are the motors. And then you come back to me and you go, okay, it's going to have over 600 horsepower.
Okay.
This is a hot hatch with over 600 horsepower.
If you said that to me 10 years ago, my mind would be blown. But knowing it's electric, that doesn't...
But this is electric. That means it's like a gas hot hatch at like 750 horsepower.
Yeah.
Right?
And it doesn't look very big.
There's a button on it, and I admit the name of this is dumb, and I won't defend the name, but it does sound like a Dodge thing. It's called a Grin Boost. And do you know what it does? Gives you another 40 horsepower.
So you could have just had that 40 horsepower, but it takes it away and gives it to you when you ask for it.
Nope.
How does it work?
Because just like the power shot in the Hornet, you cannot run an electric motor so close to its limits and expect it to live the life of the car. But you can push the button for 10 seconds of higher current flow. In that amount of time, it's not going to heat up enough to cause any permanent loss of longevity.
Is that 600 horsepower after that 40?
Nope, 641. It's 601 without the power, with a Grin Boost.
Isn't that the same horsepower as the Corvette ZR1?
Yes.
Not the last one, but the generation before?
Yeah.
640?
Yeah.
2 generations old ZR1.
Would absolutely be left in the dust. This is 3.4.
By a Hyundai hatchback.
Yep. This is 3.4 seconds to 60.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's where I defend the engine sounds. Okay. You're going around a corner, and when you are driving a car, in anger, we'll say, you're driving at 7, 8, 9 tenths, and you're on a track. You are never looking at the speed. You know how fast you're going by listening to what's going on. And if you are hearing an engine, you're getting that auditory input, and you know how fast you're going based on where you are, what gear you're in, and how high the RPMs are. Okay? And that's where the shifting comes in too, because you're wanting to get as much engagement on a track as possible. And from the multiplicity of videos I've seen of people actually driving this thing in anger, everyone gets in it thinking this is stupid and gets out of it saying this is how it has to be.
That actually kind of makes intuitive sense, because playing a video game,
you never look at the speed. Yeah.
Trying to play a racing game and you have the volume off, it's so boring. So boring. And you have a really hard time getting the right speed around the corners. Even a track in a car you're very familiar with, you have no sound on, it's very tricky to get the speed right just based on watching it. You are listening a lot to know where your limit of grip is, what speed you need to be at. You're more familiar with how the car should be sounding at that point in the turn.
So you're on board with the fact that the sound makes a difference and is worthwhile being in there. You don't have to agree with it.
I have to understand more about it, though.
Okay.
Because does it relate to the speed of the car?
Yes, it does.
So it just goes higher.
It goes, and then you shift. Because in a regular car, the engine sounds the same no matter how fast you're going. If you're in 5th gear at 4,000 RPM, that's a different speed.
But that's telling you how much the higher pitch is telling your brain in a gas car, I'm getting more power to the wheels right now because I'm getting closer to the red line, which means typically I'm getting higher up that power curve we talked about in last week's episode.
And you are.
So it actually ramps up the power?
Yep.
Even though it doesn't have to.
It
could just be steady.
Yep.
So it gives you artificial torque curves.
Unless you double tap the paddles, it will fire 100% of the power to the rear wheels and kick the back of the car out in the turn. It's, what's it called? The E-drift kick.
Of course.
So you're turning around a corner, you double tap the paddles, and it intentionally breaks the rear tires free by punching them with all of the power it can all at once. Isn't that crazy? It's so cool. You can't do that in a gas car.
I mean, you can push the throttle more to break past the limit of grid.
You absolutely can. But the fact that they're trying to engineer in every possible way to have fun, there's even a drift mode where it only ever has all the power to the rear wheels.
Even though it doesn't have to.
Even though it doesn't have to. And let's say you're halfway on throttle, you're in a corner, and you double tap it. It doesn't care where your foot is. It's going to just shoot all of this power to the rear wheels. But it actually will keep you from... It will do its best. You can make it spin if you try hard enough. But it will do its best to keep it in a power slide.
On one hand, I'm like, that's cool. But on the other hand, I'm like, that kind of takes away the like gratification of like nailing a good...
Sure. I mean, you could still do it dumb and go right off the side of the track.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting in a car not touching anything and it's just doing power slides, right?
Yeah.
You're still doing it. It's just keeping you from killing yourself, which is what stability and traction control already do.
That's true.
So it's a hot hatch, 600 plus horsepower, 3.40 to 60, drift mode, drift kick, which is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That's actually not a bad name.
And once we get all the way down this list, including the fake shifting, because you want the engagement for the driver, that's where we get to the fake but functional tachometer, where you can actually bounce off the red line. And they could have called red line 50,000 RPM.
Yeah.
They could have called it anything. They called it 8,000 RPM. Modest, I'd say. So when you get up to 8,000 RPM,
that's not related to the actual
it's not related to the speed of anything. It's just a display. It changes with the sound of the car. But when you get to the top of it, and if you could just keep accelerating, even though you've got to the top of your tachometer, it breaks the illusion for the driver. Mm-hmm. Then you're constantly thinking, oh, I have to not go over 8,000 for what reason? Then you're not actually using the shifter. Then you're not they have to make the car. It'll even do the with the power of the engine.
Jeez.
Like you're bouncing off of the rev limiter.
I think you're right. I think I would need to try it. I'm still not sold.
I'm not going to buy it. Thing costs like $55,000, but
that's not bad for
$55,000 for 641 horsepower.
Not bad.
Oh, I think it looks great. I love the hot hatch. All this stuff about it, I find it so cool. And the fact that I could get in it, drive it, and have a non-professional would not be able to tell you the difference between how that's driving it and an ICE car if they didn't know. And the engine, it sounds like a high revving 4-cylinder, like a hot hatch.
Which is the right choice.
Right.
You don't want it to sound like a
TRX.
No.
Or supercharger. It sounds like a high revving smooth 4-cylinder. It sounds like a Toyota engine. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I think it's the most enthusiast related thing that enthusiasts are not going to like on first look. I think that's why everyone that's gotten out of it that I've seen is like, it may not be your cup of tea and you may not like it, but this is how it's got to be if we want to actually have fun in these cars.
All right, let's move on to the speed rounds. Got a couple good ones for you today.
All right, hit me.
This segment I really liked from last week, and you did really well. This
Okay.
is 20 questions.
Okay.
I'm looking at a car behind you right now. You need to guess what the car is in 20 questions or less. Yes or no questions.
Okay.
Go.
Is it from the big three automakers?
Yes.
Is it from Chrysler?
Chrysler is the
brand umbrella.
Yeah, umbrella, yeah.
Okay. Is it made within the last 10 years?
No.
Is it made in the 90s?
Yeah.
Did it have a long lifespan?
No.
Oh, geez. Is it from Plymouth?
Yeah.
Is the Plymouth Prowler?
Yeah, dang, 7 questions. You saw my slide already.
No.
You didn't?
No.
7 questions? Wow. Yeah, there it is right there. I gotta say, without the bumperettes, it actually doesn't look bad. I think it actually looks pretty cool.
All right, let me see this. I've always liked the look of it, and without the bumperettes, it looks even better.
Without the goofy plastic in
The
front.
bumperettes were purely regulatory.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, you just take them off. This looks amazing. If the powertrain didn't let it down,
Oh, yeah. No, we could talk about the powertrain for a long time, but yeah.
you know what this would be perfect for though?
Electric conversion? Yeah.
Because the packaging is so weird, you'd be hard pressed to find an engine
That would fit.
that would fit.
You can't fit a decent displacement in that engine bay.
And it would really be, and the trunk's useless anyway. So what you'd be better off doing is get rid of the engine in the front, call it a frunk, put the electric motor in the back.
No, that'd be cool.
And you wouldn't even have to have that much because it doesn't weigh that much.
It doesn't have a history of having a
big engine. You're not ruining the heritage
of the car.
You're bringing it back to life. You're saving it from the obscurity that the engine put it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. All right. 20 questions.
Again.
Guess the car that I'm looking at right now in 20 questions or less.
Is it from the big three automakers?
No.
Is it from Europe?
No.
Is it from Japan?
Yes.
Is it made in the last 10 years?
Yes, under a different name.
Is it on sale in the United States?
I don't think so. No.
Is it from one of the mainstream Japanese brands?
No.
So that's not Toyota, that's not Nissan, that's not Honda, that's not Mazda, it's not Subaru. Is it a car I definitely would have heard of? Mm-hmm. It's a car I definitely would have heard of. Definitely would have. Oh. Is it a Suzuki Samurai?
It's a Suzuki.
But I thought maybe it would be a Samurai because your wife owned one.
She did not own a Samurai.
Oh, she had the Sidekick. Is it a Suzuki Sidekick? Ooh, was that 9 questions?
That was 9. Less than 10.
I'm pretty good at this.
You're really good at this. I'm impressed.
But hers was 2-door, right?
Hers is 4-door. Hers is just like the one in the picture, except it was white.
White with the cup decals. For whatever reason, I imagine in my mind, her Sidekick is like the size of a smart car.
No, it was a 4-door. It was actually her grandpa's. So, good guess.
I'm pretty proud of myself.
Okay. Less than 10 questions, you got to a Prowler and a Sidekick. It's pretty good. It's impressive.
I'm happy with myself.
All right. Blind ranking. You're going to rank these cars 1 to 5 without knowing what comes next. The category is American supercars. First car is Corvette ZR1.
Is that a supercar? As much as Americans can make supercars.
It has over 700 horsepower.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the high end of sports car if it's not a supercar.
I would consider the ZR1 trim a supercar.
It's no Miata, but it's...
Where do you put the ZR1?
2, just in case there's something better, but I like it a lot.
Okay. Celine S7.
Ooh, I love the Celine. I think it's so cool. I think I'm going to call that number 1.
Okay. Ford GT.
That's a comfortable 3.
Okay. Hennessy Venom GT.
I guess it's got to be 4. And it's okay that it's 4 because even though it's technically really, really impressive, and I like Hennessy as a company, I like John Hennessy, the owner. It's okay that it's a 4 because it's such a limited production. It's not something you'll ever see. Yeah, you're never going to see it. So I think a 4.
Okay. Viper ACR.
I'm very upset. I'm very upset. I think that SRT 10 ACR, that would be number 1.
You'd put that above.
Oh, yeah. That would be number 1. If I could redo it, Viper, Celine,
ZR1
GT, Venom GT.
Yeah. Okay.
But it upsets me that the Viper was last. You did that on purpose.
I don't know. Rank these cars 1 to 5 without knowing what comes next. The category is modern hot hatch.
Is the Ionic 5 on here?
It's not.
Okay.
Volkswagen Golf R.
Golf R. It's cool. It's refined. It's never out of place. I think it's really cool. The inside's comfortable. I had the previous generation Golf. I loved it so much. I loved that car.
1 to 5.
Sorry. I'm going to call that 1.
Oh, okay. Ford Focus RS.
It's cool. They don't make it anymore, so it's actually going to fall behind some of the newer ones because the newer ones have more power. The Focus RS, for the amount of money you paid, I'm going to call that a 3.
Okay. Audi RS3.
Don't care about that car at all.
Really? A 5-cylinder?
Oh, the RS.
It's got 400
and it's all-wheel drive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the Golf, but better. I'm going to call that 2. Yeah.
And the GR Corolla.
I love that it's a 3-cylinder. I love the story behind it. I love the heritage. If I had the spaces, I'd probably put it higher. But it's got to be a 4.
Okay. Would you take that or the Yaris?
I'd take the Corolla.
Okay. And last one is the Civic Type R.
Comfortable 5. It's way too big. And I know it probably weighs less than the Golf, so I'm going to be caught out with my reverse reasoning. But
it's only front-wheel drive, right?
I think it is just front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But the Golf R, it's like 400 or 320 horsepower, all-wheel drive. I think that's pretty cool. The Toyota actually has more inch than you would have to have normally. Because it has that center clutch. Because the rear wheels are actually driven faster than the front wheels. So if you're going 60 miles an hour, the rear wheels are actually going 60.5.
So smaller tires in the back?
Nope. The gear ratio in the back is actually faster. And in order to get the car to drive and do like drifts and whatnot, they actually will lock up the fluid clutch in the middle. There's an intentionally slip in the clutch in the middle. And as they lock up that back clutch, the rear wheels are now overdriven. So they'll break free more easily.
Wow.
Eventually, that liquid clutch, they say it's supposed to last the life of the car. I'm inclined to believe Toyota on that. But it's just something that I'd have in the back of my mind, that there's a clutch constantly slipping because my rear wheels are overdriven.
Do you like how every single one of them was blue?
Didn't even notice. I do like blue, though. So
Yeah. Seems like a good color for a hot hatch.
it does.
All right. Guess this car by this zoomed in picture.
Okay.
First one, are you looking at it?
Yeah, Kia Stinger GT2.
Yep. Kia Stinger. Although I don't know if it's GT2.
Oh, GT all-wheel drive. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a Mercedes McLaren SLR.
Wow. It took no time at all. I need to zoom in further on these pictures.
Yeah, you needed to zoom into 1 pixel.
Yeah. All right.
That scoop in the side, that's a Mazda 5.
How did you get that? Yeah. I always thought that little wave thing on the
It's
side
weird.
was so weird.
I was like, what's that on? Oh, yeah. It's like the world's smallest minivan.
Yeah.
It's so tiny. I bet you could take that front bumper off and put it on a Mazda 3 and it would fit.
Probably. It looks identical.
It's so tiny. Are you really surprised I got that one that fast?
I was surprised.
Okay.
Because I try to zoom in on something that's unique,
Yeah.
but not like a dead giveaway.
Like the vents on the SLR, but the going or the.
You got a piece of the goal of the doors in that picture.
All right, what's the next one?
That's it for those.
Jeez, okay, I nailed all of those. I'm happy with
Dead.
that.
All right, we'll do another round.
Another guess the car round.
Guess this car based on this zoomed in picture.
All right, hit me.
This first yellow car. You see it?
Yeah, it's like it makes me think of an Apollo.
As far as that type of car goes, this is pretty common.
Not a C8, is it?
No.
That's a Lamborghini. No, it's not a Lamborghini. What the heck?
Close.
Audi R8?
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. Weird. You got me on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Pontiac G8 GXP.
Yeah, very good. Those little hood scoops on there.
Yeah.
Something unique, but not like a...
That's a Holden Commodore in Australia.
All right, next one.
Oh, that's the Celine S7 again.
Yeah. Dang, you're really good at this. I gotta zoom in further. So that's it for these. Yeah, we gotta zoom in further. So this is a new segment we're introducing this week called Shared Parts. This is a part on a car, and you're gonna tell me where it originally came from. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So this is the back of a Voyage RV. Can you tell me where that taillight came from?
They do this a lot. RVs borrow lights and switches. Yeah.
Because it's actually, lights need a lot of like testing and validation. It's way easier to just ask a company
Off the shelf, yeah.
use their taillights, buy them in bulk. Do you recognize where that taillight came from?
No, I feel like I should though. But based on the fact that they're halogen tells me it's a car from like the mid-aughts, or it's like a Camry?
Yeah.
It's a Camry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
All right, how about this one? This next one. This is a Lamborghini Diablo. This is a pretty common one of this situation. You know those headlights?
Yeah, is it a Fiero? Mm-hmm. I was just listening to a podcast. They were talking about the design of this.
Yeah. It looks great.
It does. It really does look like a predecessor to the Aventador.
Mm-hmm. Once they got rid of the pop-up headlights, they sourced these headlights from Nissan.
Are they GTR headlights?
Mm-hmm. They're from the
270ZX. 300. Okay. Mm-hmm. I moved to the next picture.
All right, you're going to love this next one. Do you know where these headlights on this UPS truck are originally from?
Buick LeSabre?
Close.
Buick Grand Nash? No. Is it anything on the Cougar platform? Panther platform?
No, it was a GM product. It's an Oldsmobile.
I don't even know what that's called.
I don't remember either. I looked it up.
That's one of those 90s blobs that are like, oh yeah, I've seen that before.
It's so uninspired. But yeah, somehow it doesn't look out of place in a UPS truck, even though I feel like it should.
Now, going back, it does.
It does now when you go back.
Looks stupid.
We'll do another round. Shared parts.
Where is this part from?
So where is this part from? It's on a low production vehicle or a vehicle it didn't originally come on, and they sourced it from someone else.
Wait, is this a TVR?
No, that's an Invicta T1 or something like that.
Is a taillight from Maserati Coupe?
No, a much higher production volume.
Oh. Is that on a minivan?
Mm-mm.
Is that on an SUV?
No.
What was it, a Ford 500 or something? I'm lost. I don't know.
Volkswagen Passat. It just turned 90 degrees.
Yeah, I'm clearly not that good at this one.
It's tricky when it's on a car it doesn't originally belong to. You don't really see it.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this next one. I feel like you should get this one.
No, thanks for the extra pressure.
The bus. You looking at the bus?
Bus next to it. Oh, it's from the green bus next to it.
Yes. These are... I recognize these headlights right away. They're really angry for this bus.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking they're like a Charger or a Magnum. Is it a Magnum?
It's a Charger.
Charger.
It's actually a electric bus that was on Jay Leno's garage.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That's cool. Next one's a Lotus Esprit.
Do you know where those taillights came from?
Fiero.
No.
I don't know. Some 90s copy-paste GM product, right?
No, Toyota.
Corolla.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't notice a lot of those. Some of the RV ones just look like way out of it. And it's like a game I play on a road trip when I look at an RV and I'm like, I recognize those taillights, but not being attached to the vehicle it didn't originally belong to, I cannot for the life of me figure out what it is.
All right, we got trivia.
All right, trivia time. Who made the first electric truck?
Is this in the 1800s?
Electric truck.
But it depends on how you classify electric and classify truck.
I'll say it was 98. Chevy, Rivian, Ford, and Tesla.
Well, it's not Rivian. Rivian didn't exist then. Tesla didn't exist then. And GM was already toying with electric stuff at the time, but I don't know if they made a truck. I know they made that EV one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess Chevrolet.
You are exactly right. You want to see what it was? They made an electric...
It's not production.
It was.
Seriously.
It was a production electric truck.
A production S10 with clearly AutoZone stickers that say electric.
No, it was called the S10 Electric. Had 50 miles of range and 0 to 60 in like 15 seconds, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a production vehicle. And unlike the EV1, where all of the EV1s were leased and they took them all back and crushed them, 60 of those were actually sold. Actually sold. So there very well might be some electric S10 out there.
Jeez.
Honestly, probably...
Do a Tesla motor swap.
Yeah. Probably more running electric ones than gas-powered ones.
No, those S10s were actually really good.
Were they? Oh, okay.
The S10s, they'll still go for a good amount of money.
Yeah.
Because the S10s were, for not having a V8 and being made by Chevrolet, they were shockingly reliable.
Wow.
Because normally Chevrolet can't do anything but V8s or it falls apart.
Yeah.
But no, the S10s were actually really reliable.
Well, there you go. They also made an electric version. 60 of them were sold as fleet vehicles.
I can't believe that.
Mostly for like putzing around large facility grounds. But it was an electric truck. Sold.
Wow.
Yeah. Not leased. So there very well might still be some out there.
Cool. Well, that's all we got.
That's all we got this week.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we'll catch you again next time, and hopefully Logan and Kira will be with us. And next time we do this, Logan might actually be here in person.
He might.
Stay tuned for that.
All right. Thanks. We'll see you.
Peace.